everyone. Welcome to the Glow Podcast. I'm here today with a very exciting guest. I have Max from Infraway, and I'm super excited to speak with him. But for those of you who are new here, we are tailored marketing, and we partner with organizations in health, wellness, and longevity space to fuel growth through strategic marketing and sales strategies. So if you are interested, drop a comment below. Max, thank you so much for coming on. I'm super excited to speak with you. If you would, I would love if you would just go ahead and give a little bit of an introduction so the listeners know who you are.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Max. I founded Infraway basically from a college injury. And what we do is we build wearable infrared heating pads for pain management, warm-up and recovery. And our flagship product focuses on the lower back, which I'm guessing a handful of your users or viewers also have. So
For sure.
Yeah, and I'm based in San Francisco. I'm from here originally, and
Yeah, I feel like lower back pain is one of those that, like, if you haven't gone through it yet, you'll probably go through it at one point in your life, because it's just a place where we hold so much tension, and like so many things are connected there too, that there's just so many different things that can kind of like go wrong, I guess.
yeah, I think the interesting thing, or rather less interesting, more annoying, is once you have it, you kind of have it forever, and it comes in different ways. I think more than anything, though, pain is so subjective, and so how I describe pain is different than how you will describe pain. It's different than how 50 other people describe pain. And so one of the challenges in the industry is like dealing with this term pain, which I feel is very vague and nondescript and not helpful, because like my mom, for example, she doesn't have actual pain. She has tightness.
Mm-hmm.
And me, for example, like I have a torn labrums in my hips. And so my hips fall out of line. So I actually do have lower back pain. Like that symptom is real for me. And other people will see fatigue and soreness and achiness as pain. And so it's almost like a moving goalpost. And one of the other issues is because it's so subjective, and it's not the subjective, hey, I fixed this thing for the user. People feel very disenfranchised with products in the market because this pain goalpost is either really close to you or really far away from you. And some of these products, especially ones that are dealing with really low level modalities, they're not fitting the bill, and they need something that's a little bit more effective, and they need something that's a little bit more, has more therapeutic value. And so, I think it's challenging to me in the day and age we are, with the level of technology that we have, that we don't have something more comprehensive and easy to use and effective. And that's really where we slide in. And it's not like a shameless plug. Like that is the problem we're trying to solve, right? We're trying to find ways to implement topical heat and infrared therapy in ways that are really genuine for users in their lives. It's not a new skill you have to learn. And at the same time, like providing a level of therapy that, is a step above what potentially they're used to from like a store-bought heating pad, plug-in, that sort of mechanism.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that that's so interesting that you brought that up, that pain is subjective, because it's so true. Like they say the worst pain that you've gone through is like your worst pain. So it's like something that's really painful for someone also maybe is not, or maybe you're really used to your lower back pain, and so you're just like, oh, like I'm just living with this, and you don't know a difference until maybe you do get relief, like it's just something that you're living with on a daily basis, and then you get relief and you're like, oh my gosh, wait, this is what it could feel like.
Yeah, we all take it for granted when we're feeling really good, which is, tough when you don't feel good. I think a good corollary is like, people with scoliosis, you're always going to have back tightness, stiffness, and pain. And so when those people are purchasing products, they come with this like ready-made recognition that this may help me feel 10, 15, 20% better. And that's as much as any product's ever going to make me feel, because this is a structural issue.
Yeah.
And when you run into issues with some of the users, is like these expectations of, a multifaceted problem just going away with this like non-invasive, simple therapy. It's like, listen, I wish it were that case. By no means is that what's happening here.
Yeah.
But we are going to help loosen you up. Like without a doubt, you're going to feel looser. That's just step one. And so if we can get the expectation for them of like, I'm not curing your scoliosis, I'm not curing your slip disc, I'm not curing your herniated disc, But the uncomfortability that arises from that comes in the symptom form of stiffness, of fatigue, of achiness, of soreness. Those are terms to me that are objective in some ways, because we can put a fingerprint on that saying like, I know what a stiff back feels like. And stiff backs, more times than not, feel kind of the same person to person. Less range of motion, I'm feeling really tight. And so if we can start to cure that and we can build education around those things, that's been really on top of our mind as we look to, educate users and show them the problem that we're solving isn't this, this pain button. I think it's a loser's game to talk about it, in the sense of not because people have pain or losers. It's not that at all. It's like, it's a self-defeating, runaround when you're just saying like, oh, I'm always going to be trying to chase this, this pain horse that you're never going to catch. You're never going to catch up to it. But we can manage all the fallout on the in-between. And that's what we've seen a lot of success with our users. And, the long term is we do reduce the overall pain felt because it's consistent use and we're feeling looser and we're doing the right stuff. But, if you go out of the gate saying, hey, we're this back pain all cure, you're just straight up lying to people. And I think there are, a lot of products that come out with that messaging, and that's not great just because it's just not true. It's just not true at the end of the day. And I think and so I'm not saying one specific company. I think, all of us, I'm sure we say things that aren't 100% in line with like how the expectation is it's supposed to be. Our goal is to build products that always meet the expectation. And so that's really what we're chasing at the end of the day.
For sure. You don't want to give people like a false narrative or like we're going to cure something that's incurable. But yeah, no, that's so interesting. And I just want to get back to a little bit of the beginning too, and like kind of the founding story and how you came across this technology. I know you said you were suffering from an injury at the time. And so I'm so interested how you found this technology kind of in that process.
Yeah. Well, still dealing with it. It's a torn labrum in my right hip. And so I have intermittent and chronic lower back pain as nature of that symptom, or nature of that injury. Back pain is a symptom of that. And so I went to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. I walked on to the basketball team my freshman year. I redshirted, and then I played some garbage minutes. That year we went to the NCAA tournament, which was really cool. That following spring, I was offered a coaching position. And so I took over strength conditioning for the men's basketball team at Cal Poly. So player to coach switch was challenging.
That's
socially,
awesome,
I guess.
though.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a really cool opportunity. I was very close with the strength conditioning staff at the time, and it just made sense. And so that following year, I was just training a bunch. I had switched my major from from industrial engineering to kinesiology. Full tilt into what I thought was going to be the profession going forward, like be a strength conditioning coach full time. Once I graduated. And then the football coaches asked me if I wanted to play football, and I had never played. And so I walked on the football team as a tight end.
What a transformation from basketball player, coach, football player.
I mean, I think it's not uncommon for, bigger basketball players to come out and play football.
Yeah.
I definitely think, first couple practices of Division I football was a bit of a wake up for me, because it was like, oh, geez. Not used to this.
I could imagine for anyone.
Yeah. And so that first year of football, definitely didn't know what I was doing, but got the swing of it a little bit. And after that first year, I found out I had the torn labrum in my right hip. And I'm not a good candidate for surgery because the head of my femur is slightly ovular instead of spherical. And so to get it repaired would just mean and just for everyone, the labrum is a soft tissue that covers that acetabular head of your femur. And so in that ball and socket joint, I'm just basically rolling over that labrum over and over and over. And so if I were to get the labrum fixed, it would just tear again in time. So not a good candidate, and not wanting to risk maybe missing time going into my senior year, I opted to just get really tight with my athletic trainer, my physical therapist, my chiropractor. Because when you're a Division I athlete in America, like you get the best healthcare in the world. You get, whatever you need. And so I felt very taken care of in that moment of being like, they're going to give me what I need. I have access to all this care. And 3 months of PT prior to camp of my senior year, I was feeling pretty good. Hips getting to a place where I felt I was explosive, could do the things I wanted to, but, started to run into a fair amount of lower back pain. And, I've was practice at 5 a.m. It was class all day long. It was coaching the men's basketball team in the afternoons. And so, I wasn't hanging out in the training room all day. I was, I had to kind of keep it moving. And so what I wanted was something for my lower back that was effective and was mobile, right? I thought, at the time, all the modalities of pain therapy and pain management were stationary. The hydroculator packs, you have plug-in heating pads. I mean, of course you have like icy hot Bengay and all that stuff, but that wasn't really doing anything for my lower back. It was so topical, nothing penetrating deep enough to have any real, effect in that lower lumbar.
Yeah.
And so, just being a little bit frustrated with not having something to work for my lower back, my senior project in kinesiology was heat modalities and pain management and performance. So I wanted to know what studies were out there that said, because everyone's telling me use heat therapy. And I'm like, great, I'm happy to use heat therapy, but it's got to work. And so I wanted to see where heat therapy was effective in these different scenarios. And the long and short of it is there's not a ton of efficacy coming out of topical heat because it doesn't penetrate deep enough. It's only about 2 centimeters of penetration. So it feels great. And there's this like psychosomatic side of that sensory experience adding to feeling better. And I never want to take that away. There's so much value in that.
Yeah.
But you also need something a little bit deeper. And the deeper modalities are gate-kept in some ways. They're gate-kept by being very expensive. They're gate-kept by requiring a practitioner. And they're gate-kept by just not being accessible to this, like if you take professional sports as this upper rung, this lower rung of individual. And that's not to be negative. It's just, the average person isn't spending an X amount of dollars every single day, every single week on, their body and performance as being the main thing. And one of my issues with health and wellness in general is this idea of performance really only relating to this like epitome of sport. And we've all, some of us have been there, some of us haven't, but performance means a lot of different things. And we can't just cater products only to the, I think Christian McCaffrey's amazing. Yeah, but you can't just cater everything to Christian McCaffrey, right? So, we want it to be something that's more accessible. And so after doing that, what I found is far infrared was a modality that was really effective in these performance and pain management scenarios. And so, in my mind, coming into graduation of my 5th year of college, I'm like, oh, I just need an infrared heating pad and I'm off to the races. I'm going to graduate soon. I'll do this. And I was like, probably stick with a chiropractor and, yada, yada. And just kind of fell flat on my face coming out being like, there's really nothing that specifically is fitting what I'm thinking about, which is something wearable, something new in the sense of like, a new spin on an old classic, right? I wanted something that felt current, but had all the value that people had been talking about for years. And then, it's something that wasn't, over $500. And I'm not saying our competitors are that, but I think you look at a lot of these products and they can get expensive really quick.
For sure.
And if you don't have an insurance copay or the product doesn't qualify, that can also hurt you as well. So with all that, that's when I had the idea. My AAU coach in high school, he is a partner at a law firm in San Francisco. And so I said, hey, I have this idea. Can you guys give it the once over and tell me, yay or nay? And I went and did that. And they were like, this sounds like it has some legs. And, that was kind of when we kicked it off. And so it's been a journey, as every founder says.
Yeah. No, that's so cool though. I know one of my favorite things, like when I first saw it, is just like the portability aspect too that you were talking about. It's like, okay, if you're going out and playing golf or you're playing pickleball, or like even if you're going to like the zoo with your kids, like you can put it on and like put your shirt over it and it's not like this crazy thing.
For the viewers and everything, and if you're listening, then we'll describe it to you. But the whole point of making this was to make it as wearable as possible. And we classify ourselves as a wearable. And I think there is this line in the sand where you have like therapeutic products like compression boots and percussion guns. And then you have wearables, which is like fitness trackers, heart rate variability trackers. I'm trying to stay away from saying names so that, but
I get it.
We quantify ourselves because we are wearable. We're wearable therapy. This weighs less than a pound, is applied directly on skin, and it's worn underneath clothing. And so the idea that most therapeutic products are this very big and somewhat flashy, accessory, I don't think resonates with people who are dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're at work and you have to pull out a percussion gun, you pull out some big rap. We were all in high school. The second somebody came back in, a boot or a sling or was on crutches, you know what I mean? It was like, what happened? What'd you do over spring break? And so thinking about that, it's like in the professional world, like it's just not, pain is a private problem. That's a privacy thing. Like I should be able to get my therapy when and where I want, get some physical therapy when and where I want, and not broadcast it to the world that I'm not feeling my best. And I also think it's a confidence thing. If people see that you are using something, you might get self-conscious about that. And I think that's ridiculous. Products that are solving problems shouldn't always necessarily be leveraged by the marketing that their users supply for them. Meaning like the usage of the product, then insinuates more usage of the product.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that's great when you can do both. But if you're not inherently solving the problem first, I don't think you should be slapped on somebody's body as this neon sign of, hey, look at me, right? I think being intrinsic and being this kind of discrete, comfortable thing, like we want it to be your companion to whatever your activity is, right? So if you like to golf, this is the thing you throw in your golf bag. If you like to play pickleball, this is what you're bringing to the pickleball courts before, open runs or whatever. And similarly with all other sports. And if you love to hike, this is a thing you're throwing on for the 30 minutes of, as you're getting ready to go on your hike. So, we're very like activity agnostic in the sense of, and sport agnostic, meaning like we don't want to be attached to one specific thing. Golf is definitely where we're like the deepest in at the moment, but by no means are we looking to, do anything so we become, only a golf product. I think, we're a golf product first because that's who the bulk of our users are, but we're great for pickleball. We're amazing for skiing. If you like to play pickup basketball and you're in your 30s, like you need this. Like those are, you know what I mean?
It's for everybody, basically.
It's for everybody. And so it's never been, I think good businesses, and what I found over the first couple of years is trying to be everything for everyone is really hard and impossible. And you're going to get trying to do that. And I feel very lucky that golf has been the area that has been the biggest hit for us, just because it is this trusted group of people that play together all the time. They love to share the new gadget. They love to share the new equipment. And it becomes very organic. Our sales do.
For sure.
But it also becomes very transferable. It's not, people who look at golf, I don't think say to them, now granted the US Open, all the big things, I don't think people are saying, hey, I could do the same as Scotty Scheffler, but I think everybody looks at golf and says, oh, hey, like physically I could do that. I could swing a golf club. And I think that's what's really nice about the sport, outside of it being, a high price point to enter in general. It is an activity that you could do. I do it poorly. I'm terrible at golf, but I can do it. And it's okay. Like, it is what it is. It's not like football where, like, you look at the O-line of the 49ers and you're not like, oh, yeah, I could beat Trent Williams. No, you couldn't.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't.
No, anytime I watch football, I'm like, I could literally never do what these guys are doing. But you are right. When you watch golf, like pickleball, tennis, you're like, okay, I could do this. Maybe not to the level these people are doing it, but I can at least like do it and have fun while doing it. Something, just like a random question I was thinking about when you were showing the product. Do you have to charge it? Or how does that work? Okay,
yeah. So we use a standard USB-C charge port. You can see it through the top here, but just to unzip, it's a standard USB-C. So we supply like a easy 5-volt charger, but you could charge it with your more high-powered Mac laptop charger, and it would charge faster. And so it is, it is rechargeable, it is reusable. I think the biggest difference that people aren't really, especially an older demographic, isn't necessarily ready for, is we are 100% app controlled. And it's not because we're trying to sell a subscription. It's not that at all.
Yeah.
If we were to add a button to this, it would have to have some sort of hardware on the front side of your body. But because all the tech is posterior and it connects to the Infraway app, which is free, Apple, Android, it gives you full control over the product. And so with that, you can customize. This is all backwards, but you get to customize your session to exactly what you want. And so I think it's interesting too, because everybody has different perceptions of heat and feeling heat. And even men and women will have vastly different feelings of heat, right?
That's very true.
it's very clear in our data that like our female users, when we've interviewed them and talked to them off the anonymized stuff, it's like they're at 130 plus kind of consistently. And then, our male users are pretty consistently, 120 to 130 sometimes. So, we have some older folks in the 135 and there's a whole mix of in there. But it's pretty, it's pretty standard. Like, my sister, for example, if it could go hotter, it would. And I'm like, listen, I'm not making this any hotter. 140 is our top temperature, and that is like, that's cooking.
Yeah. You're like, you don't need it hotter than that.
No, you definitely don't. And there's also something to say, like, with people equate intensity to higher intensity to more therapy. And that's just not how this works at all.
Yeah.
You want to be wearing this for as long as you can, because how it works is the topical heat is hitting our fabric, which emits a far infrared wavelength, and then that's hitting the body. So you're getting dual heat into your body, topical and far infrared. Now, at these higher temperatures, these higher topical heats, yes, the sensation is going to be much more intense. That is not necessarily as good, because if you can only wear a really intense session for 10 minutes, you're not getting 10 minutes. You're only getting 10 minutes of far infrared. So the better scenario would be like, can you go for, can we find a temperature that you're really comfortable at 30 minutes for? Then you're getting this really intentional 30-minute topical heat that feels great, and then you have far infrared the whole time that's penetrating up to 3 inches. It's known to increase circulation at that target area, increase capillary size, draw more blood. It's known to, more nutrients are getting to that area, so we're feeling more limber. And I think, a good way to think about it is like, if you were to spend 15 minutes warming up, and at the end of the 15 minutes, your body felt really warm and ready to go, and specifically your lower back felt really warm and ready to go, we're helping you do that faster. And sometimes we're just doing it for you. We can't warm up your legs and your upper body, but if you just have this on your lower back, we're going to get you warm. Your lower back's going to be okay to do the things it wants to do, whether it's a golf swing or workout or a weight training class or something like that. We help you get there faster. So, the more the merrier, and I think everyone knows that, but the more you wear it, the better you feel. And so what we see with our users is, because it's easy to use and it's lightweight, our usage rates are so high. Like, we have really high usage rates. And so we're excited of what that means for the future of Infraway, because we're still small scale and we're trying to grow and get things. But when we pass these, 10,000 units sold mark and get into these 50,000, we're really going to start to see some interesting trends among people and seasonally and all this other stuff about how products using. And that'll help us learn and figure out how to alter the app and the user experience to make sure it's as tailored and specific and customizable more than anything for everyone.
Yeah, no, that's super, super cool. And so that kind of brings me, I guess, to my next question. What are kind of your goals over like the next year or so? What are y'all really, really focused on? I know you said that getting to that 10,000, 50,000 mark, also kind of expanding into different athletic communities, whether that's, hiking, walking, running, like pickleball, like you said. But what are your goals kind of?
As a company right now, like, we are really focused on the golf space. That has been where we've spent the bulk of our sales time, in-person sales time. We have a independent sales rep team led by Frank Alifaginis, who's based out of Naples, Florida. And the green grass clubs, the tournament tee prizes, members, member guest gifts. We've really, been hitting some home runs in that space. And we're going to continue to focus and scale up through that, because we see wholesale as the driver for future scale. What we are also finding out is, when we do a big bulk wholesale tournament order and that goes well, those people are going back to their homes, back to their home clubs, going back across the state because they're flying to go meet their buddy and play golf, and they're bringing this naturally into other communities. And so we're seeing a lot of natural word of mouth. And so
that's awesome.
We're not really focused on a ton of like direct consumer growth right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be losing direct consumer money. But, the word of mouth is doing really well for us. And we know there's some plateaus to that.
For sure.
But the scale we'll achieve once we kind of hit some certain metrics in golf sales, that doubles down with helping us invest in more product and, all the other things there. And so I would say the next big milestone for us is, meeting that 10,000 unit mark, which we're not too far away from now. Just over the two versions of this product that we've had out in the wild now. We had version 1, which is 23 to 24, and then we launched version 2, which is this one, in March of this year. And so a little bit segmented of when we've had product of this version. But yeah, I would say from a top line, 10,000 units, 10,000 users out in the wild is, it's really where we're at. I think we're pretty close to 7,500 users at this point. So that's been pretty good. And yeah, and then, I think a lot of people ask, like, what's the next product? And we have some stuff in the pipeline that we're really excited about. I don't want to share anything yet, but
that's okay.
Yeah, but
it'll be a surprise.
Yeah, and also it's just, I don't know. I like some of our biggest competitors who have 1 million SKUs. I don't want to be that, and I don't think we need to be that. And I think the lower back is a big enough problem that we could really just eat our breakfast, lunch, and dinner off that product alone. And we can help a ton of people just being this. That being said, we are excited about a few SKUs, but for the foreseeable future, the lower back product is what we'll be focusing all of our attention on and scaling that up through the channels. I would say from a demographic standpoint, pickleball, paddle sports in general, skiing world, winter sports, those are areas that we're really excited about. Hunting and fishing also, from what I know, A, is just a massive market, and B, you're talking about being outside in cold weather for long periods of time, crouched in certain positions. And so those are the areas that we want to spend the bulk of our focus and time on. It's very much, golf, pickleball, tennis, and then hunting and fishing, and kind of running and skiing and hunting and fishing, and letting it run from there.
Awesome.
One cool thing is, I guess it's cool for us as a company, but there's no shortage to potential customers, right? There's so many people nationally, internationally with lower back pain. And so we've not even scratched the surface of what this total addressable market could potentially be. And we're excited to continue to learn more about how people are buying these products and what kind of messaging we can create that helps resonate with them, and also, resonate with what the product is capable of, right? It's not always about just finding messaging that, that works and you pour a ton of money into it. It's like, what can we say about the product that's really going to resonate with these people so they feel excited when it gets to them, right? I want every user to feel really excited about it, because there's this opportunity to feel 10, 15, 20, 50% better, right?
Yeah.
And I even say it for my own self, because I have lower back pain still, and I've come to terms with that. It's just going to continue to be that. But without this, I would not have the active life that I have currently. And so I know I can't attribute my mobility and my lack of pain to this, which is awesome and kind of a cool selfish win, right? But
for sure,
I think for, the hard part with users is just getting them to understand is I'm not going to fix a slip disc. It's just not going to happen. And nothing is. And I'll just be the guy that tells you no product on the market is going to fix your slip disc. But what is going to help you manage those symptoms, and then how frequently can you use the product in order to manage those symptoms? That's how you should be making decisions, right? What's giving me the highest level of therapy, and what has the lowest access point to use? We feel that we have the greatest mix of both. We have the highest level of therapy available, topical and far infrared, and then we have a really low access point. Anybody can use this. Everybody has a smartphone. Anybody can use this. It's a little bit of getting over the hump, but I really think we're in a place now where, everybody's pretty comfortable using an Apple phone, using an Android, picking an app. I mean, sure, we have a ton of, I've had a ton of user conversations with folks of being like, I can't get it to work. I'm like, we're going to get it to work. I promise you. Your phone is no different than mine. We're going to get it to work. You're just going to, we'll get through it. We'll download it together. Then those are some really sweet conversations.
Yeah.
But, it's very much of creating an accessible level of therapy is really where we plant our flag in the ground on.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's super, super cool. I feel like, there's so many athletic communities that can benefit from it. Really, so many people. And the portability aspect of it, again, it being a wearable device is just so cool to me. And I think that it's a really, really awesome product. I would love for you to tell everyone where is the best place to find you online. I will also put links in the show notes for easy access as well.
Cool. Yeah. So our website is theinfraway.com. So THEINFRAWAY.com. And then our Instagram handle is the same, the Infraway, or at the Infraway. Give us a look. If you have any specific questions, please reach out to our helpline, which is hello@theinfraway. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on there. And yeah, super, thank you so much for having us on, and being able to talk and share about this with your listeners. It's nice to be a part of, communities in general that are interested about these topics and looking for new things to share within their communities. And so, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on and talking more about it. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, bye.